Hi, I'm Ungsvenskarna
I'm Jenny Ribsskog.
with the Freedom Alternative, a Romania-based YouTube channel. So, what are we looking at? This is a political event where technically everyone is invited, although I see that some of the political parties are missing from the stage. How's it going?
I think it's going really well. This area here is very known for high crime rates and very low participation in the elections. So I think it's a really good idea to bring all the politicians here so that the people in these areas could have, you know, some more time with the politicians and see what everybody thinks and some questions, and of course to discuss the crime rates and how we can lower the crime rate.
Have you had because I'm quite familiar with the Swedish political stage. So have you had any triggering incidents? Because Sverigedemokraterna is not very well seen within the cathedral media for the wrong reason, I would say. But then again, I'm not a Swedish citizen, so I don't get a vote. Have you had any incidents?
No incidents here, quite the opposite actually. We've had very interesting conversations here, and we recently had opinionsundersökning.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but the word slips. Yeah, for sure.
So there recently was this investigation, and we could see that we are actually increasing in the immigrant population. More and more immigrants tend to favor our party, and we've had really interesting conversations so far, and I think they're happy that we are here.
Why do you think immigrants, I mean, the cathedral media, the official media, as I like to call them, the statligt propagandaorgan för visuellt hjärntvätt och tankekontroll, the mainstream media have tried to portray you as an anti-immigrant party. Yet, obviously, I've spoken with several immigrants in the last few days since I've arrived in Sweden, that they do start to favor a bit more Sverigedemokraterna. But why do you think this is the case?
I think the case is that we were the first established party that actually spoke about migration to Sweden and how it would affect Sweden. And we've seen the crime rate has gone up, and we've seen the sexual abuse has gone skyrocketed, and it has changed also, because before it was usually a perpetrator that the female or the male knew, and now it's an unknown perpetrator. And that has a lot to do with the migration. We haven't had any integration in Sweden. It hasn't worked, and we spend so much money on trying to integrate the new people that come here, but it doesn't really
More money
work.
have been thrown at the problem, but the problem hasn't ameliorated.
Has just increased.
Was it an issue of misappropriation of funds, or the funds not being spent efficiently, or is it just because the very idea of just throwing money at the problem is simply not?
Well, I think it's hard to say what hasn't worked. I think the main reason is that when the immigrants come to Sweden, we don't really give them the tools to actually be able to integrate. We don't say this is the Swedish law system, this is how it works, this is how females dress. So we haven't really addressed the issue until it has gone way out of hand.
Yeah, I've heard this argument several times with most of the people, even left-wing people that I have interviewed within the last several days, that too many individuals, newcomers or Ungsvenskarna as the politically correct people would call them, many of these people have been told that there is no Swedish culture to integrate into.
And that is a problem.
Of course it is. I can understand why it is a problem, but I keep on being called a hater when I say this. And you know, I've been making videos about Sweden for 2 years now on my channel, and I've had Swedes coming into my comment section. Hey, you don't know nothing. You're just a hater and a Nazi and whatnot. But I don't think it is National Socialist per se, or in any way hateful to just say, no, look, you come into a country to try to integrate. And I'm coming to Sweden, you know, a week once in 3 years. Och jag är stille prövar att prata på svenska. But these people don't. And I've met 2 years ago when I came. I've met an individual who's been here for like 14 years, spoken no Swedish whatsoever. And I understand that this is not a rare instance. Why has there? And this is a question that I'll never. I'm trying to find as many answers as possible. Maybe I'll come up with a personal opinion too. But why have there been so many Swedes who have adopted this ideology of there is no such thing as Swedish culture, there is no such thing as something specific to Sweden? Why?
I think it's a very difficult question to answer.
I know, which is why I'm asking everyone.
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons could actually be that we've had peace for 200 years. I mean, because we haven't really suffered.
Yeah,
we haven't had anything that has, brought us together. And I think it's very easy to just take it for granted once you haven't really had something to lose. So if you look at Norway, I mean, they celebrate Norway. They love Norway. They're Norwegians.
I'm very familiar with Norway.
Yeah, you've seen the 17th of the parade. And
they like it. I mean, it's what I expect when I go into a country and there's the national holiday, Nationaldagen.
Yeah.
But in Sweden, it's just a bit more sad.
Yeah.
And so you think it's because of the peace, which is kind of makes sense. I mean,
could be one of the reasons, actually. I think.
Yeah, you guys haven't been through the world wars. You haven't seen totalitarianism. Which is a good thing. I mean, it should be celebrated that you have been able to avoid war on your own soil, have been able to avoid totalitarianism. Yet for some reason, that's something to be afraid of. What do you think about the corridor of opinion? Now, I'll try my best to explain to my audience later on what the corridor of opinion is. Some people think that it hasn't changed at all. Others seem to think that it has widened a little bit.
Yeah, I would say that it has widened a bit. There's still a way to go. But if you compare Sweden like 2 years ago to what it is today, the corridor has definitely been widened. The question is, how wide is it? We still can't really talk about. We can talk about statistics, but they won't present statistics. So I think we're in that gray area where we're trying to discuss the issues, but they won't really investigate the issues.
So it's a transition period between worse to better, but it's still. Well, I would say. I mean, this morning I was reading an article about a fight that broke out in downtown of Stockholm, and I was reading with details about it on Aftonbladet, which is something that I could not have expected to see 2 years ago.
Exactly.
2 years ago, I would have read this on Fritiden maybe, but definitely not on Aftonbladet. So in that regard, definitely the corridor has widened. Right. What do you think can be done, especially before we came here? We went to Rinkeby, and I don't think you need me to tell you the plethora of issues that can easily be identified in Rinkeby, starting with the fact that it's not particularly safe to videotape there.
No.
I mean, in most of the rest of the country that I've been traveling so far, and I'm going to Göteborg soon after, and I'm also expecting there to be able to videotape everyone and everywhere in the public, but not in Rinkeby. Do you think that can change within a reasonable time frame? I'm not saying it can be changed tomorrow for sure, but within a decade, can that get better?
It's very hard to answer. I think of course we can change the area, but the question is when and how, and
Not all change is necessarily good.
No, it isn't, and I think right now in this political situation we have in Sweden, I don't think that much is going to change. So we have an election next year. I'm hoping that we will be as large as possible because we do have a lot of ideas on how to change it. But the thing is, every single party has their own ideas, and right now we're just clashing. Nothing is really been done. They're talking about more police, more guards, and I think that of course is one part to make it a bit better, but there has been, it's been going on for so long. So I think it's difficult to say exactly when it's going to be okay to videotape or.
All right. Two or three more questions, and then I'll leave you be. First of all, the culture. I mean, I don't think it is. I don't think you would disagree when I say that it really does matter what kind of immigrants we're talking about. I mean, I don't think an immigrant from Finland or from Ukraine is necessarily of a similar kind of immigrant from Somalia. What do you think? I mean, can it even be? Is it even allowed to speak out loud about the difference in culture between various?
Well, we actually have had a problem with discussing culture because somehow the majority of the parties have had this vision that if you cross the Swedish border, you become a Swedish. And that's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is.
Because, I mean, I think that we have to be very certain about who we are, where do we come from, what is our history, what is our culture. And if we are certain that this is us, this is Sweden, then it's going to be so much easier to invite other people into our culture. Regardless if you're a tourist or if you're an immigrant, it's going to be much more easier to actually give them a chance to integrate or assimilate. And right now it's just,
Yeah, but not telling them that there's something to assimilate into, that pretty much defeats the purpose.
Yeah, and we've had very high up politicians saying that we don't have a Swedish culture and that Swedish culture is barbarianism and so on. And that is a big problem because of course we have a Swedish culture.
Of course you have, and yes, it may not be perfect, it may not even be the best in the world, but to say it's pure barbarism, that sounds like suicide talk.
And even if it was pure barbarism, it's still our culture, it's still where we come from. We should educate on that and try to invite people into our culture instead of just disregarding it.
Something on practical politics. Since the last elections, your political party has been, I think it's safe to say, isolated. I mean, all the other parties, including very bizarre coalitions such as Moderaterna med Vänsterpartiet, which is something that would have been unimaginable 15 years ago when I started getting a bit of interest in Sweden. Your party has been marginalized, even up to including such bizarre coalitions just to keep you out. Will that or can that change?
Right now, they're basically saying no. But I believe that, behind the scenes, yes, of course it can change. And I think that we were looking more towards a right middle coalition where we could be basically the social conscience of the right-wing parties. So that's what we're hoping for, and I think that is doable. Question is it doable next election or the following? But I think it is doable in a recent, or in a short period of time, at least.
What I would say is that if it's not doable within the next 10 years, it might be a little bit too late, at least for certain portions of Sweden. Right. This is something that I don't know if I should ask or not, but I will anyway, and you can feel free to dismiss the question.
Okay.
What I've noticed is that even though your political party has been isolated multiple times and whatnot, it has still managed to influence policy and basically compel other parties to adopt some of your policies. And in the process, not only widening the Overton window and widening the corridor of opinion, but also actually changing the policy. I don't know, one example would be, the policy on begging, for instance, or street begging. Do you think that kind of process is the only weapon that can be used? Because if they continue to isolate you, unless you get a 50% majority...
Well, our main goal is that our politics is the ruling politics, and if it comes from us or from another party, that doesn't really matter for us. And right now, I think it's as you said. I think the only way for us to really influence is to for having them copy our politics, and that's fine for now, but it's not going to be fine in the long-term run, I'd say, because we of course want to be the ruling party one day.
Oh, of course. I would like to see you beat the party. I want to next year in October to come to Sweden and interview Prime Minister Jimmie Åkesson.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing in and of itself. And precisely then I would like to broadcast the video to, I don't know, some political parties in Sweden who say that you guys hate Romanians. I'm still alive, by the way, so you haven't eaten me. So, by the way, why does, or maybe I should put it this way, you've been labeled all sorts of bad names. Not you personally, your political party. Or maybe you personally too, probably.
Sometimes.
Probably. But even though that has happened, lately, within the last, I would say 18 months or so, those labels don't stick anymore.
No, I think that the people are starting to see that it actually are only labels and nothing, no sustainable facts, around the labels.
Yet for some reason, everyone else gets accused of alternative facts, even though the biggest alternative fact is that your political party is this and that, which is isn't.
But I think that the only way they think they can hurt us is by calling us names, but we're still growing and growing, so it doesn't seem to work.
It doesn't seem to work. One last question, then I'll have to go because obviously people are getting busy here and I'm interrupting. On networking, it seems, and I have met already several people who are like, no, I don't want to speak in front of the camera because maybe if they find out in my job or my workplace or whatnot, I could get in trouble. And I already spoke with several people, Anneli, probably you're familiar with her, with Jan Gunnarsson also, who have the problem on the job market because of their opinions, and that's very it's a DDR-like status, except you don't have an official Stasi, but you have many other smaller Stasis. Do you have any idea on how to dismantle that?
I think it's going to change after the election, because if we're over 20%, they can't really do that to us anymore. And I've met people who are teachers or social workers, and what I've seen is the hardest group to be a Sweden Democrat in, because of the corridor and so on. But I think it's going to change after the election, or I hope so at least.
Because it just seems to me that your political party would be considered in Romania the moderate left.
Basically, yeah.
Our social democrats are to the right of Sverige Demokraterna because their economics are further to the right. And it still doesn't seem to be that there is no harder right-wing party, and I don't want to speculate a little bit, but I presume that's the case in Sverige Demokraterna right now. You have individuals who are further to the right on economics, some to the left. You're only united on socially conservative policies, right?
Yeah, basically we have. I think since we are a middle party, we attract both left-wing and right-wing people, and I think it's a nice mixture, because somehow everybody is okay, we all want to have a welfare system in Sweden. I think no Swede would like to change that. I think we're quite, world famous for it, the welfare system. So I think we have, the best kind of mixture from the left wing and the right wing.
I see. Well, good luck in the elections.
Thank you.
I don't know for sure whether I'll be here. The intention is to come back and do a feature story on the campaign, when the campaign trail starts. That's the intention. But I don't know that for sure. But even if I won't be able to do that, I'm hoping that 2 years from now, when I'll definitely come back to Sweden, I want to speak with Prime Minister Jimmie Åkesson, and I'd like
Secretary Jenny.
And I'd like to be able to brag that, look, I've been interviewing the governing party, and I'll just erase the date of the
exactly.
Right, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and
too.
good luck attracting even more individuals to the right ideas.
Thank you so much.
Tack så mycket.
And you should try to speak to the pink girls over there.
Yeah, go ahead.